A few weeks ago, we released a 15-minute video. It was called Facing Mass Extinction, and it discussed the causes, the severing, the Industrial Revolution, colonialism, and the extractive economy and the extractive ideology. This video discusses how to prevent extinction, what we can do to avoid human genocide. It's no more than 15 minutes, I promise. The ideologies behind extractive economies are based on false economic, social, and cultural theories, especially the theory that it's possible to have unlimited growth. We may not be able to stop the threat of genocide immediately, but we can all begin by telling the truth. No matter what you do, where you live, your age, your race, your background, you can begin by telling the truth. It's important that people understand the real truth behind climate annihilation. It's a crisis, and we need to act like it. We feel like we're living in almost a perpetual crisis, with every day bringing bad news, and everyone saying that it's only going to get worse. Not surprisingly, we feel anxious. Some of us are angry. Some feel guilty. But most people feel helpless. We don't know what to do. And there's one proven method to get rid of that helplessness, and that's to get engaged, to get involved, to work with others to stop climate collapse. Pick carefully, because what you do may be contagious for your friends and family, but it's critical to get involved. And it's also important to understand that the word crisis carries with it two different connotations. The first is danger. We're threatened, and we shouldn't ignore this. We have to face it. But the second is opportunity. This crisis has opportunities. It can lead to a whole different way of living. So it's absolutely important to face the fact that it's a crisis and to act like a crisis and to get engaged. This is a plug, and I admit it. But here's the Activism is Medicine message. Activism is exciting. It's transformational. It's health positive. It's a life-giving activity. Activism is an adventure. Activism can be artistic. Activism can teach you creativity. Activism can be the basis of a spiritual practice. And you meet good people. So it's important to get engaged. There are barriers to getting engaged, and I want to touch on three of them. The first is an organizational issue. There's nothing worse than a strict hierarchy where people tell you absolutely what you have to do every day, except for a strict horizontal organization where not only do people tell you what to do, but there's priests and priestesses that also tell you how to think. If you get involved with an organization that makes you uncomfortable, leave. Whatever happens, don't be miserable. Too many people stop being activists because of organizational issues. In a sense, think of it this way. Let's say that you want to help the homeless. One thing you can do is to join an organization that tries to pressure the government. Another thing you can do is going out and directly helping people that aren't housed, helping them get food, providing shelter, providing clothing. The same is true for climate activists. You can join an organization and get engaged, but you can also be one of these people that whenever there's an action, you show up. You're always there to help. So think of how you want to approach it, but don't let organizational issues make you miserable. The second is an issue of blame and hatred. We can't help being angry at the people that are, in a sense, murdering us and future generations. And it's also important that we take care of the past abuses of history. And sometimes people have to be blamed, and sometimes things need to be corrected. But that has to be balanced off by the fact that we have only limited time. When do we put aside the past and move forward? It's a personal decision. It's based on your age, your race, your gender, and we all look at it differently. But it's something that we have to face honestly when we get engaged in climate activism. And the third point is focusing on the wrong thing. Don't focus on results. Focus on how you are participating. This is going to be a long struggle, and the best way to avoid burnout and despair is to focus on how it is that you're helping and the little things that you get done. None of us know exactly how we influence the world, and none of us know the consequences of even the tiniest action. So it's important to stay positive and to focus on helping, and don't get too hung up on the long-term results. It's important, as we said before, to make sure that people understand what's happening with the climate. And it's also critical to help people and to be involved with folks when they try to deal with their emotional responses to climate collapse. But at the same time, we have to understand that education isn't enough. Even if 95% of the people in the United States of America all agreed that we need to take rapid action to save the planet, nothing would change. The same extractive elites would keep on doing what they're doing now. We'd still be getting the fake news. We'd still have major projects and problems get greenwashed. Nothing essentially would change unless we change the power dynamics. The key to this whole process is power. It's not just education. It's just not talking or helping each other feel better. We need to take action in a sense that affects the power dynamics. So when you think about what it is you may want to do concerning activism, which of course depends on your family situation, your economics, your age, your health, there's three factors you might want to consider. The first is that this may be the most important decision you ever make in your life because it's on you as far as what's going to happen in the future. So it requires a lot of thought and thinking, but it also requires that at some point you just say, I'm going to do it. Don't over-intellectualize the issue. The second thing you should consider is what you're going to be thinking 10 years from now. I mean, does anyone that's watching this video really believe that in 10 years things aren't going to be getting worse and we're not going to be having more problems? And you don't want to be one of those people that looks back and says, I was a complete idiot. I was focusing on my job. I was focusing on what I want to do on my weekends. And look what happened because I didn't take action. And the third thing you need to think about is that we have a moral obligation to act. This isn't climate collapse. This isn't some physical thing that's happening to the planet. What's happening is that there's a small group of people who are extremely wealthy who want to continue extracting from the earth so they can keep their money and get even more money. It's a moral problem. It's a genocide issue. And we have a moral obligation to take action and to take action as aggressively as we can, as soon as we can. I want to conclude by talking for a few minutes about hope. I began the Facing Mass Extinction video with a short piece by Roger Hallam, and it may be best to conclude this video by hearing again from Roger.
And this is the fundamental thing that we need to understand, right? Is we may win this struggle, we may not win this struggle. But what we do know is we need to live a good life because we're good people. And leading a good life is to work for the common good with others. And this is the most we can expect from life, and it's the most that life expects of us. Thanks very much.
We live in interesting times. Concerning the climate crisis, there's a small group of paid climate deniers. Then there's sort of a large mass of people that don't really want to face the problem and can't have the time to deal with it, apparently. And they have too many other fears and concerns to get engaged. Then there's small clusters of activists, some of whom are reformists, others of whom are more radical. And now there's a new group that sort of takes the position that it's too late to stop things, that the climate is already at a point where no matter what we do, there's no hope. And I think it's important to recognize that those theories are incorrect and they're not supported by the science. There is reason to hope, and things can be changed. And it's important that we recognize that the future is not decided. History always advances in disguise. So people may want you to believe that it's already set, but it's not. And the most important thing for us to recognize is this, that the future will not be determined by academics. It will not be determined by scientists. It's certainly not going to be determined by evangelists. The history of the world will be determined by you. You have control. You just need to take action and get engaged and be part of the process. You're the future, and you need to take action. Thanks for watching.